Hello and welcome to Fit Life Radio, the place where you can learn a little bit more about how your body works and find new ways to improve your health. I'm your host Petju, and I hope to provide you with as much valuable information and inspire you to become a better version of yourself. Hello guys and welcome to another episode of Fit Life Radio. In today's episode we're going to cover another very important aspect of fit life or being fit, and this one is going to be movement. Yes, exactly. Movement is a very important aspect. It's one of the 5 most important ones, and I think I put it there because it's pretty staple move. It's something that we do, just like food is something that we do all the time. Like we are pretty much designed to be active and to move, and I think we are slowly getting kind of like away from this activity or from this pillar or from this how to say it, skill of ours to move. So yep, this is what we're going to cover today, and let's get started. So the first point that I want to talk about before everything else is why we move. So why we actually why do we move? I mean, it's so simple question, but at the end of the day, when you think about it, like, why the hell actually we're moving? Like, why we're designed to move? Why do we evolve this way? Like, did we actually evolve this way? Were we designed to move? I mean, who knows? And in my opinion, I think we evolved to be active. Now we don't know exactly how it happened that we ended up this way, and we all know about evolution and how, like, presumably started or stuff like that, but I think in my opinion we evolved to be active just because back in the days we didn't have that kind of comfort that we have today. So we had to fight for our food, we had to fight for our survival, we had to build our own houses, and like all those type of stuff required us to be super active. Like if you think about it, let's say we're hunter-gatherers and we have to get food from somehow we need to get food, right? So how do we do that? We chase a prey. Humans, by the way, are the animals that can outrun or outwalk every other animal species. So basically what that means that in terms of endurance we're probably one of the greatest. So we can basically the way we chase most of the time our prey, like except setting traps and stuff, is that we find a way to wound or to hurt the prey, and then we're going to chase it until it gets tired and it dies basically. So we're gonna finish it and all the rest. But that involved like a lot of activity, that involved a lot of movement. That basically meant that means basically that we had to chase that prey for hours and hours and hours, and like who knows like how long actually we had to do it. And like when we get to the prey and when we actually manage to kill it, like we don't just eat it right there. Like we had to take it, we had to bring it back to the camp, we had to set a fire, we had to cook it somehow, or we had to like somehow prepare it or whatever. So we had to, this required us to be super active. Like so this is something to consider, as I think this wasn't like for like few hundred years. Like pretty much that evolution was for quite a lot longer than that, and that meant that we had to evolve this way. Like I think that meant that we had to evolve to be able to run long distances, or evolve. That meant that we evolved to be able to throw with accuracy. Like of course we learn all those skills, and it didn't happen in just like few years, but that's my point, that it took us so long to evolve this way because we didn't have other choice. And I think because we evolved this way, our body basically evolved to be in need of that activity, to be in need of movement in general, whatever kind of movement it is, right? So I think it's one of the biggest issue is that today we're actually kind of stepping away from that movement, just because we live in a modern world, of course. Like I don't want to judge anybody, of course, and like of course we're not gonna go out in the woods now and like chase a prey for a whole day, obviously. But I think somehow the world is getting more and more sedentary these days, and um, instead of us being more active, we're actually being way more inactive, and we move less and less. And I think that resolves in a lot of problems that we have, especially a lot of aches and pains and a lot of stiffness in our bodies. Like, we recently talked with my friend, and he mentioned how uh, his grandma is like above 80 years old, and he kind of like, his point was that before, like when she was young, she used to be um, out there in the field and taking care of like the garden and the tomatoes and the vegetables and stuff like that. So uh, she was active all the time, and like now she's 80 years old, but she doesn't need anything like like any sort of sticks or crooks or whatever to help her moving. Like, she's able to move by herself. Like, and even though she might have some aches and pains, like, she's 80 years old and she's able to do that. And as we were talking, my friend's brother quickly mentioned that in fact she's still doing it. Like, she still lives in a village, and she's still active most of the day. She still goes around and like basically like takes care of a lot of stuff that needs to be done. And like once I saw her, like honestly, her posture looks better than mine. And I praise myself of like doing correctional exercises and posture correction exercises and going to the gym and blah blah blah. Her posture looks way better than mine. And like, I'm sure that even though I'm trying that hard, when I reach her uh, when I reach her age, I'm gonna be way worse than her. And my point is that the point that I was trying to make is that um, like today we live in a society where we don't move at all. Like, if you think about it, mm, let's say we spend most of our time working, and working behind a desk kind of, or working in a machine, or having to drive. Like, if you think about it, like even if we commute to work, we use public transport or we use the car or whatever, but we sit for like 1 hour or for 2 hours. Like, recently I thought about an interesting phenomena, if I can say so. um, have you thought about the higher you go in terms of your job position, it requires you to be less and less active. So like, um, I used to work in a factory, like, well, not exactly a factory, it's more like a phone repair shop, but it was a really huge phone repair kind of like, well, used to be like a factory. I mean, we all called it factory because it was a huge place. It was like many different lines, and there were so many phones, and there were like engineers and people that process parts, people that process the broken phones, like dispatchers and stuff like that. So the higher you go in the job positions, the less active you are. So like the people that were dealing with parts, or the dispatch people that were dealing with the position of phones or stuff like that, they were active and they were moving so much. Then like the engineers, they were sitting behind the desk, and they had to like kind of stand up, go take parts and talk with different people to, you know, mm, like kind of get more ideas of how to fix this phone. Then like the supervisors or managers, most of their time they were spending behind the desk, behind the computer, just like looking at the screen and just pretty much sitting. So I kind of thought about this concept, and I think it's pretty sad because we try to evolve, of course, as human beings. Like the evolution, the improvement is in our nature. So we try to evolve, but somehow it's set this way. So the more we evolve, the less active we are, and like then we have to find a way to like put more activity in our world, in our lifestyle, and try to find time for a little bit more activity somehow, and we end up lacking activity, and we end up like pretty much feeling not great. So I think it's pretty alarming. I think it's pretty interesting concept, and I think it's like, I mean, of course we can't change the fact that we have to work and most of the jobs require us to sit. Like, I'm not saying that we should change that. I'm just saying that we should be kind of more aware that we used to be super active. Our body evolved to be super active and to move most of the time. And now we're kind of experiencing people with a really bad posture, people with a really with a lot of problems in their back or in their neck or in their shoulders, and like they're not even moving that much. I mean, it's like you would think that most of the injuries would happen because people move in a certain way, but in fact I think most of the injuries happen because people did not move enough throughout their life, and if they actually had to move in a certain way, they didn't know how to, or they were not strong enough in these positions, so they end up hurting themselves. Just like most of the injuries that you would see and you would think that they happen during like exercises or whatever. No, like most of the injuries actually happen outside of the gym. So like maybe when you twist fast to take something, or maybe when you went down and pick like a grocery bags, or maybe you pick a dog food bag or whatever, like most of the injuries happens out of the zone where you're kind of in a comfort, and this is it's not very nice, I think, because like we should be able to move in a certain way. Like we are designed to be able to walk. We're designed to be able to bend over, to squat, to like throw with accuracy, to put our hands overhead, to lift stuff and to move stuff, to push stuff, to drag stuff. Like we evolved doing all those activities, and I think it's quite sad to see that slowly we are kind of getting away from those activities that we evolved to do for so long, and that is like, I mean, we see the potential issues that come with that. Like I mean, you can see more and more people, like I mentioned, with back issues, or you can see more and more people with postural issues, and a lot of like just aches and pains, which are really kind of like, I mean, I don't want to say they're really simple and silly, but like just like not being able to walk for a long time, or not being able to like climb a small hill or whatever, like really that's like it's such a simple tasks that we can all do, and then we used to do like much more than that, but somehow we're just we just think that it's not possible and it's not supposed to be this way. Like and I'm not talking about the fact that we should be some sort of like power lifters or super strong dudes. Like, I mean, obviously we're never going to be as strong as our ancestors, just because our lifestyle doesn't require us to move that much and to like to hunt and do that kind of stuff. But I think movement is important, not only because it's gonna kind of prevent a lot of the injuries to happen, and it's gonna prevent a lot of those stiffness and like lack of energy basically that we have. But also, like, if we spend a little bit more time being active and practicing certain skills, like, they're gonna pay back for sure after. Like, and what do I mean by that? So, like, simple task, but the simple task such as like putting stuff overhead. Like, I mean, it's quite empowering to know that you can do it yourself rather than having to ask someone. Like, yeah, it might be super simple and super stupid, but when you go to an air, like, let's say you are in an airplane and you want to put your luggage on the cargo compartment, like up there, like, I mean, especially like, just because like recently I flight more often, because like I'm from Bulgaria and like now I live in France, so I fly a bit more often to see my family and my friends, and then stay here with my girlfriend. Like, uh, most of the people that are asking for help are actually women that are not capable to put the luggage overhead. And I think it would be very empowering if a woman trains in order to be able to do that, right? Like, um, I think it would be super empowering if the woman feels more independent and not having to ask for help. I'm not saying that there's such a that like asking for help is a bad thing. I'm just saying it's more empowering for someone to be able to do something that he wants. Um, Other example would be like picking stuff. Oh, like a very very easy example. Like, we live in a hill, and it's probably like 500 or 600 meters kind of a hill that we need to go down to, and the grocery store is right next to, like, it's right, like, as you go down the hill is like kind of on the corner, pretty much. Like, I don't know, you, like, if it was flat you would say it's like 5 minutes walk, but just because it's not flat it's like 20 minutes walk, especially when you have like groceries. Well, yesterday I went to do groceries and I purposely didn't want to go with the car, just because like I knew I was gonna buy a lot of stuff and I knew it was gonna be hard, but I kind of wanted to test myself and see, like, okay, so I have an option to go by car, but what if I don't have this option? Does it mean that I'm gonna have to rely on someone else? Does it mean that I'm gonna have to ask for help? Like, why? It shouldn't be this way. So let's see. I went to the grocery, like, I bought stuff that I would normally buy, so I had pretty much like two big bags of groceries, plus my backpack full of stuff. And I did struggle. I'm not gonna lie, I did struggle, but I managed. Like, I managed, and I think it was quite empowering to know that, yeah, I could take the car and make my life way easier, but I managed, and I know that in case I have to do it and there is no other option, I'm able to do it. Like, I'm able to, like, carry, I don't know, like 30 kilos maybe or more and go up that hill. Like, it's pretty empowering. It's pretty good to know that you're capable of doing that. So the point that I was trying to make is that a lot of times, like, just knowing that, like, proving to yourself that you're capable of doing such stuff as, like, hiking for a long time, or doing those, walking for a long distance, or like loading yourself and walking to a certain, like, to a certain place. Like, I think it's quite empowering, and it's quite nice to know that you're able to, because, like, yeah, I mean, of course, today's days is like, we're really kind of lucky to have all the comfort that we normally have. Like, we have cars and we can go do groceries by cars. Um, like, we have cars, and instead of like walking 3 hours to see the nice view, we can pretty much like take the car and go there, and it's pretty much gonna be the same without like the moving aspect. But I think it's pretty nice to challenge yourself, and it's pretty nice to feel that you actually can do those stuff. So, like, why not? I mean, really, why not? I remember when I was writing about the pull up and the grip strength, I mentioned how, and I know it's such a silly example, but I mentioned that I really want to be able to pull myself up and like hold myself with one hand to something, just because like if I hope I'm never in that kind of situation, but if I'm in a situation where my life depends on how strong my grip is, or if I'm able to pull myself somewhere, I don't want to lack that grip strength. I don't want to. I want to be able to basically save my life just because I'm able to grab something and hold on to it. And I think those kind of stuff are pretty important. So of course, today's we're not like, as I mentioned, we're not gonna chase a prey or whatever, but we can like mimic some of those activities. And this is why I love gym so much, because in the gym, pretty much you can mimic all the basic activities that we are kind of evolved to be doing, right? So like you can squat in the gym, you can pull something, you can drag something, you can push some stuff, you can jump, you can like push stuff overhead, or you can like row, even you can throw, depending of the gym, of course. But my point is that all those basic activities you can train with load, which means that like obviously you're not gonna practice that every single day because you're not a hunter-gatherer, obviously, but you can pretty much like practice those moves with load 2 or 3 times a week, and you're gonna ensure that you're able to do those stuff, and you're gonna ensure that you're able to kind of, how to say, like you're capable of doing those stuff with load, which means if you are able to do it with load, then you're gonna able, like if you can squat with like 50 kilos, it means that you can squat without 50 kilos without a problem, right? So this is my point, this is what I'm trying to say. So this is why I love gym so much. And I also love the gym because it's for everyone, man. Like really, it doesn't matter if you're 20 years old or 90 years old. Every single person can benefit, because like if for the 20 years old kid, basically a good workout means heavy deadlifts and heavy squats, for 80 years old person it could be just like sitting and standing up from the bench properly, with proper technique, slowly, and in control, for example. Like, yeah, that person can do it at home too, but my point is that everybody can benefit, because there's stuff that everybody can do in the gym and can benefit from. It's not like some sports where like I mean, I don't know, maybe let's say tennis, for instance. Like, I mean, like, all my respect if a 90 years old person can play tennis, but how many of those 90 years old people you know that can play tennis, right? Not many. So I think it's important to know that gym is the place where you can pretty much mimic those activities that we evolved to be doing, and also like you can find an activity that is suitable for you regardless of your needs, of your age, or of your condition. So I think this is it's important to note, because if you're looking for a way to be more active, like, it can be a start. Now, I'm not saying it's the best place to go and be active, don't get me wrong. I love it because I just like it. I mean, that's it. But the purpose of this podcast is to kind of like to raise the awareness of how important movement and being active is, and to kind of push you to go out and find your own way to be active. And this is what I'm going to do now. Like, I'm going to give you some examples of like what I've seen people doing and how they are more active during the day, and basically practice those movements. And how they're a little bit more healthy. So my point is not to sell you that you should go to the gym and do exercises, not at all. My point is to sell you on the fact that you should try to be a little bit more active and find um, ways that you actually enjoy being active with. So what is my point? So my point is that if it's not a gym, it can be anything else. Like you can go for a walk, you can go, like you can do hikes, depending where you live and depending of the weather you like. You can do tennis, as I mentioned. You can do ping pong or table tennis. You can do climbing. Like I recently get super involved in bouldering, which is like an indoor climbing on artificial walls with artificial plastic holds. Not only plastics, but you get my point. Um, for me, it's super fun because I see it as a problem and I try to deal with it. I got involved my girlfriend as well, and she said that she likes it just because when you're trying to climb something for like 1 or 2 minutes, you're not actually thinking about anything else. You're not thinking about problems. You're not thinking about whatever. You're just like focusing on the fact that you're up there like 2 meters above, and you have to figure out how to go up or how to go down without hurting yourself, without falling. And like even if you fall, nothing's gonna happen because you're all secure, but still like the goal is not to fall, right? So like your brain is pretty much occupied with this specific thing, and this is super important because um, like a little bit of break from thinking about all the problems we have, it's not bad. So like this is a way to be active. What else? Just like you can get a dog and walk that dog. You can go swimming. You can go dancing. Like just whatever it is, make sure that you have some sort of activity throughout the day. Make sure you have some sort of like a time specifically for activity, and like kind of like being aware of this, um, it does take time. It does take time to realize it, and it does take time to become aware of the fact that when we actually move, you feel better. But the more you practice it, kind of the more you start to feel the need of it. And what I mean by that, so I'm gonna give you an example. Like a year ago, I was diagnosed with disc herniation. So basically, I have two discs which are herniated in my neck. Um it's pretty painful. It's not that bad, but it's pretty painful. It goes down to my arms, and it's not very pleasant. It kind of stops me from doing some stuff at the gym. But at that time, the doctors advised me, of course, to not look at surgery, which I'm very glad that I actually did. But they advised me to also like stop going to the gym, stop doing any sort of exercises. Maybe just like swimming or walking is alright. So I did it. I started swimming, and this is when I also discovered like bouldering, like back in Bulgaria. But I wasn't really satisfied just because I was feeling more and more pain, just because this was not exactly the type of activity I really enjoyed and I really liked. So uh, I ended up actually thinking more about the injury. I ended up thinking more about the pain that it causes me. And finally, it wasn't very recreational, like not at all. Like it caused me even more troubles. And then I realized that the more active I am during the day, the less pain I feel. And especially if like, because the disc herniation is highly connected kind of to posture. Like the more exercises I do to fix my posture, basically, the better I feel. So I stick to like 2 or 3 days being in the gym, like practicing certain exercises, which I can, of course. There are some others which I can't really, and they hurt me, but I do what I can, and I strengthen muscles which I can. I also try to be as active as possible, and trust me, I feel way better. I feel way, way, way better than just swimming and not going to the gym and not being active. And I think it's partly due to the fact that I'm actually aware of how movement makes me feel, and I kind of crave it. But I mean, I really don't know. Like, I only know that it helps me so much, and the more I'm active, the better I feel. So I highly encourage you to try and to become aware first of the fact uh, that movement is super important and what movement kind of does to our body. And then I highly encourage you to just find something that you really enjoy. Because in my case, even though gym was not ideal, I really enjoy it. And because I really enjoy it and I love it, it actually helped me overcome the pain, and it helped me like living better. So at the end of the day, if it's something that you really enjoy, you should really go for it. Uh, and this, we're talking about health right now. We're not talking about performance or about body appearance or like muscle buildings or stuff like that. We're talking about pure health. Like every sort of activity you can think of, it's great for that. Just be active. Like if you want to start, if you're wondering actually where to start, and there's like no time for activities, or there's no time for certain sport or whatever, I highly suggest you try the following concept. So every single phone these days has a step count. Like in iPhones, it's like the health app. It's like there is a heart on the, like it's a picture of a heart, and you click on it, and you can set up just some metrics, and it's gonna start counting how many steps you did throughout the day. Of course, that's not gonna be perfectly accurate, because finally it's your phone that is counting how many steps you did. Like obviously that can't be perfectly accurate, but it doesn't matter. It's a perfect reference. So um, have it for like a week and see roughly how many steps you average per day. Let's say you average like 5,000 steps per day. Try to set a goal with doubling it. Like if you have 5,000, maybe double those. If you have 10,000, like try to move a little bit more. Like honestly, if you have 10,000 steps per day, you're gonna be pretty good. Trust me. Like most of the people, at least in my experience, they're not averaging like more than 3,000 to 5,000 steps a day. That's why I started with 5,000. But anyway, just like pick a goal of steps and try to improve it. And this is going to help you a lot with digestion as well. So you can do like 10 minutes walk after every meal. This way you're not gonna feel kind of like heavy or um, more sort of, how you feel that kind of sleepy, lazy, lethargic after heavy meals. Like um, you just stand up, get going, and go for 10 minutes, like go maybe set a timer for 5 minutes, go straight, and then when the timers go off, just come back. Something like that. It's super simple, but at the end of the day, it's gonna add 30 minutes more activities or more walking. And it's such a basic, like it's probably one of the most basic activities that we evolve doing, and we don't even practice it that much. I mean, come on, like let's face it, we are capable of walking so much, like really. And we walk in total of like half an hour throughout the day. Like if we can try to be a little bit more active just by walking, we're gonna be way better. So um, pretty much this is it for today. It's a rather short episode, but I really wanted to highlight the importance of movement, and I didn't want to talk about any specific exercise or whatever. I just wanted to really point out the benefits of moving, of being active, and to stress out kind of the thing that it's super important to to have some sort of movement, some sort of activity that is gonna keep our body lubricated, keep our body, like our joints lubricated, our muscles involved in such like situation where they need to work properly. Like if we don't use it, we lose it. So let's not allow the modern lifestyle to kind of really make us that inactive, so we are diseased. Like disease is this ease, right? Lack of ease, and the more we move, the easier it becomes to move or to do whatever. So there you have it. Look, if you like the information I provide you, feel free to go and check out my website, fitlifeblueprints.com. You can find many stuff for free. You can read the blogs. Basically, most of the stuff that I talk about, I already wrote them in a like blog format. So if you're interested, like have a look at that. You can go to free resources and download my guides. There are like guides to eat healthy. There are like a pull-up guide, even if you want to learn like a pull-up, if you want to learn to be able to do pull-ups, there is a guide that you can download for free. There is awareness journals which you can take and kind of use to become more aware of yourself, which we're gonna talk about in the next episode about. But yeah, like just have a look. Also, you can check out my book. It's an ebook. It's on Amazon. But if you're interested, I'm gonna link it in the description of the podcast. So you will be able to go and learn more and find out more about it. It consists of not 5 but 21 very important aspects of fit life. And if you're looking for really a guide that can help you with your fit life journey and can teach you about those small little things that you can change, feel free to check it out. Also, if you want, you can hire me as your online coach. You can go to online coaching in my website, and you can have a look at the pricing plans and the available plans. Basically, every single plan comes with food and nutrition and movement. So whichever plan you choose, the only difference between the plans is the amount of time we work together in 1 week. So in every, like, regardless what you choose, I'm going to make sure I teach you about food and nutrition. I'm going to give you like everything I know, like all my knowledge in terms of food and nutrition, and how you can go one step higher in this fit journey of yours. Also, I'm going to teach you about movement. I'm going to teach you actually exercises. I'm not gonna give you certain program that you need to follow. I'm gonna teach you how to perform those basic primal pattern movements, and I'm gonna teach you also how to do postural correctional exercises. I'm gonna give you tricks how to implement more activities. Basically, this is what I'm going to focus if you choose to work with me. So go and have a look. Consider it. If you're not sure, you can always give me a call, or you can always schedule a call absolutely for free and find out actually more about myself, what kind of person I am. Because finally, if you don't like me, why would you work with me, right? So go have a look at that, and pretty much that's it. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and until next time. Thank you for tuning to Fit Life Radio. I hope you learned something useful, or at least had a bit of color to your commute. If you enjoyed the show, please share the love by introducing it to friends and family. And if you don't mind, please leave a review on your favorite podcasting app. Thank you for your support, and until next time, stay fit.